This another due to sitting is also urgent for what? Huh?
Urgent duty. Some people are put together.
So we begin. Om Adhyanatimidandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahajana Gadhanatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahajana Lalita Shri Vishakhanutamsha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarane Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaurabhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada would often say that bhakti is a scientific process, because we see that in science there is a theory and then there is a practical, and we realize the theory through practical. Means ideally it is supposed to be like that. आजकल तो अलग रहता है आजकल. These days many times रिजल्ट आता है नहीं आता है, जबरदस्ती रिजल्ट लिख देते हैं, क्या है, that's a different thing. But that's a basically scientific process that we learn the theory and then we try to practically implement the techniques, principles, the values we learned in the theory in our day-to-day life, and then or in the laboratory we can say, and then that's how our theory becomes the, you can say, a kind of realization, or kind of, that theory is realized, it is understood very well. So same way Srila Prabhupada would say bhakti is also like that. It is theory. So now what we are hearing in the class is the theory, but then, or it's learning the knowledge, but then that knowledge has to be applied. Hmm. It has to be applied in our day-to-day life. Without application, the knowledge simply remains theoretical. Hmm. So uh, we see that Srila Prabhupada disciples, once they went, they heard about one person, hmm, who had done PhD in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hmm. So they thought this was in Western countries. Hmm. They thought in a Western country somebody has done PhD, Westerner, he must be great devotee. Hmm. He has done PhD. But then uh, they went to meet him. And when they knocked on his door, he opened the door and they said, devotee said, Hari Bol. And he was smoking cigar. What is this Hari Bol? Hmm. And then devotees discussed with him. And he was saying, yeah, yeah. He was smoking cigar and saying, yes, I know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I had done PhD in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I know Nityanand Prabhu. All this I know when he was smoking. So devotees were shocked. Devotees understood that he has done PhD without passing his KG. He has not passed his kindergarten education. He has done PhD on that. So that's how the knowledge, has to be applied actually. Without that, it becomes like a simply a head weight. So in fact, worse is that the knowledge sometimes turn into hypocrisy. When the knowledge is not applied, it turns into hypocrisy, and that's what we see is the major problem with the religion today in the society. Hypocrisy is the biggest problem. That's why many people they lose their faith in the knowledge itself because of this hypocrisy. So many times, the saintly people or the religious people they speak things, but they never follow it. They never try to implement it, and that leads to the faithlessness in the people. They lose the faith on the religion. So once upon a time, uh, Bhagwan Acharya was a very simple devotee. He has done a lot of gadbad also. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, you know, he invited his brother, who was Mayavadi, and his brother had composed something, and he wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear, and he was arguing with Swarup Damodar Goswami, and in this way, you know, Swarup Damodar Goswami chastised him also for that. Tell him I am in class. So Swarup Damodar Goswami chastised him also. Hey, how can you listen to Mayavad philosophy? And he said, we are fixed up devotees, you know. So we can hear Mayavad philosophy. We will not become devotees. Swarup Damodar Goswami said, hey, what are you saying? Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Havele Sarvanash. How can you say like this? He was a very simple devotee. So one day he invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take prasadam at his home. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went. Hmm. And when he went to the house of Bhagwan Acharya served him with great affection and love. He washed his lotus feet, and he, you know, welcomed him with sweet words. He gave him a nice place to sit, and then started serving him prasadam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started taking of prasadam, partaking in prasadam, and then he praised the quality of rice. If anything, he was so much impressed, and he said, "Such a nice rice, very nice rice." He said, "Very good rice." And then he asked Bhagwan Acharya, "From where you got this rice?" Bhagwan Acharya said, "It was Chota Haridas who brought it, this rice. I sent him because I invited you. I wanted first class rice, so I sent him to Madhavi Devi to beg some rice from her and get." So Chota Haridas, uh, has brought it, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again praised the quality of rice and took prasad very nicely, dealt very affectionately with Bhagwan Acharya, and went to his Gambhira place where he was staying. And then he called Govinda, his personal servant, and he said, henceforth tell Chota Haridas never to come to see me. And Govinda was shocked. He said, why? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you just tell him. And then Govinda went to tell Chota Haridas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told you that you cannot see him anymore. And Chota Haridas was broken hearted like anything. He was devastated. He said, why cannot I go? And then he approached Sarup Damodar. And Sarup Damodar approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he said, my lord, Chota Haridas is such a dear devotee of yours. You love his singing so much and he is so intimate to you. Why are you banishing him like this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I cannot tolerate someone who is in renounced order, engaging in sex life. And Sarup Damodar said that, what happened? Where did he engage in sex life? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my mind cannot accept a person who engages secretly into sexual affairs. Chota Haridas, when he begged for rice from Madhavi, he had a sexual feelings towards her. Although Madhavi Devi was an old woman, but just some thoughts came actually and crossed his mind, some improper thoughts. And he said, I cannot tolerate such a thing. So tell him to not come over to see me. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very gay, and down the went. And then Chota Haridas was very much hopeful that maybe by the persuasion of Swarup Damodar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will accept him. Swarup Damodar said, no, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very grave. And he is telling that he cannot accept you. And then all devotees were thinking. Chota Haridas started fasting. He said, if I have displeased the Lord, I cannot, eat. Started fasting and fasting and fasting. And devotees were trying to convince him, console him, don't worry, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be upset a little bit now. But then eventually he will become pleased with you. He is strict from outside, but inside he is very soft. Don't worry. But then days passed and there was no sign of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepting Chota Haridas. And finally, all devotees went to Paramananda Puri and they requested Paramananda Puri. Who was Paramananda Puri? God brother of Ishwar Puri. Means he was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu treated him like a guru only. So he said, Chota Haridas has been fasting since so many days, and his offense was not so serious. It was a minor offense. So you are like guru for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You please go and persuade Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be merciful to Chota Haridas and don't punish him in this way. He's just fasting and fasting and fasting now. And then, so Paramananda Puri, he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell at the lotus feet of Paramananda Puri, and then Paramananda Puri embraced Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he said, my dear Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my dear Lord, how can I serve you? You are my master. And Paramananda Puri said, actually, Chota Haridas' offense is very minor. He just had a thought. He has not done any wrong action. So kindly do not become so hard on him. It's not such a serious offense. So please forgive him and accept him. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, actually, I am feeling very much disturbed. It is better that you stay here with all the devotees, and I and Govinda will pack up our luggage and go to Alalnath. I cannot do this kind of things. And we immediately told Govinda, please start packing up. We are going to Alalnath permanently. We are shifting there. You all can stay together happily, and you can stay with Chota Haridas. I cannot stay with him. Then Ramananda Puri stopped the Lord. He said, no, sorry, don't feel like this. And then he said, okay, you are independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can say you anything, whatever you decide is the best thing. And in this way, he also couldn't convince Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then devotees were all the time, consoling Chota Haridas, who was crying, fasting, and devotees said, don't worry, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one day he will become, please eat, don't fast like this. One day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will become pleased with you, he will forgive you. And in this way the days passed. 1 year passed. So there was no sign of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepting Chotaharidas. They were extremely strict. And then after, at the end of 1 year, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked uh, Sarup Damodar Goswami, you can bring Chotaharidas now. And Sarup Damodar Goswami said, actually, we don't know where he has gone. He waited for your mercy. He was waiting and waiting and waiting. But it seems suddenly one day we saw that he was invisible. We couldn't see him. And uh, there is no news about him. We don't know where he has gone. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay. So after some days, again, Srivas Thakur, you know, he was there. And he asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where is Chota Haridas? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I don't know. Hmm. He has, he's not there. And then next year again, Srivas Thakur came from Bengal. That time he said that I met some people who went to Prayag. And they saw Chota Haridas. He was constantly remembering you, meditating on your lotus feet. He went to Prayag. While meditating on your lotus feet, he jumped and committed suicide on the Triveni Sangam. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard it, he was very happy. He said, the person who engages in sex life, illicit sex life, he must meet his destination. He has received a very good punishment for his offense. And then this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. And then some days passed again. And then the devotees, all of them, they were having Pranam Sankirtan on the ocean beach. And that time, uh, devotees saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just sitting in some secluded place. And devotees heard Chota Haridas' voice. Chota Haridas was a very expert singer. And devotees heard that Chota Haridas was singing. And devotees saw, maybe Chota Haridas didn't die. He's alive. They are searching after him. They found that there was no Chota Haridas, but there was voice coming. And then devotees concluded because he committed suicide, he must have become ghost. In this way, there were some kind of rumors amongst the devotees that probably he has become a ghost. And that's why he is coming in the form of ghost. And then Sarup Damodar, when he heard that, he chastised devotees. He said, how can you say so? Chota Haridas was an intimate associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He can never become ghost. And he has given up his body in Prayag. How can he become a ghost? He certainly has gone to the spiritual world. He has gone back home, back to Godhead. And he is coming in the form of Gandharva in a spiritual body to sing for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very much relishing singing of Chota Haridas. He was very much appreciating and very much relishing that singing. So in this way, devotees understood that no, he has not become a ghost. He has gone back to Godhead. So, what is your feeling after hearing this pastime? Of course, many of you have heard this pastime before, but what is your feeling? Online devotees can also answer. Sorry.
Yes.
So I had to put in the earphone. Okay. So what is your feeling, Prabhu? All of you are stunned, it seems.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a very, very merciful personality, but to establish proper etiquettes or rules, he is very bold on these regulative principles, basically. Especially
Okay.
this.
So I'll repeat what Monsa Prabhu said because it is this thing. So Monsa Prabhu said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very strict, very merciful as such. But in order to set proper standards, he is very boldly and very strictly putting this through this pastime. Yes, thank you. What else? What are your feelings? seriousness of renouncing for the pleasure of God, and should not take things cheaply. Okay, thank you. What else? What is your your feeling where I am? Okay. What is your feeling? Abhijit, please. No feeling? You are generating some feeling. What is your feeling? Abhijit? Mhm. Hmm. Okay. So same feeling as Mohan Sakar. You both have same feeling. What is your feeling, Abhijit?
So the I should be one out
This is Aditya Guru's feeling. I should be thrown out of house. Okay. What is your feeling, Vimraj? Haridas Thakur nahi, Chota Haridas. You are feeling sympathy and towards Haridas, Chota Haridas. So, so he is feeling sympathy towards Chota Haridas and also feeling it is too much. What is your feeling, Suresh? How to understand mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Yeah, you feel hopelessness. Okay. Kunal Puri. Okay, devotee of the Lord never perishes. He is there always. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhaktam. Okay, Nayan Prabhu, what is your feeling?
coming to Lord on behalf of for requesting Lord to so much upon then sometimes even after committing mistake, if somebody sincerely repent, then mercy is shown to him.
Thank you. Nice. Thank you. Prabhu, you would like to share something? What is your feeling? This pastime, Chota Haridas pastime. God is very merciful. Okay. Harshal, what did you feel after hearing this past? Then Mahaprabhu is determined also. He is merciful also, but determined also. Okay. Any feeling, Abhijit, too now? No feeling. Online, Braj Bihari Krishna Prabhu, would you like to share any feeling?
Yes, Raji. Means it is externally it may be appear means the why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing too much, but one way the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is want to set the example for the what means the rules and regulation, and but internally we can understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always merciful for each and every devotee.
Okay, very nice. Braj Bihari Krishna Prabhu said that externally we cannot understand the behavior of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but internally we know that he is very merciful and he is very, very kind actually. So external sometimes we cannot understand. Vishnu Rath Prabhu, would you like to share some feeling?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Like Chota Haridas was given mercy by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later on.
Can you repeat again? Can you please repeat?
I think he has gone on mute, I think.
Vishnu Rath Prabhu, can you speak again? We couldn't hear. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, is it audible?
Now audible.
Yes. Prabhuji, like Chaitanya, the Chota Haridas did a little mistake, and for which he was feeling very, he was rejected by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So we should not commit any mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. Prem Vikas Pro, Vinayak Pro, we are discussing the pastime of Chota Haridas. Do you like to share any feeling? You may know this pastime. So would you like to share any feeling?
Yes, project. Prabhuji, sometimes we have to become instrument in hand of God just for setting example. Great devotees, or Lord chooses great devotees only for this, like Chota Haridas, Bhishmadev, and others, to set example for others. Yes.
So Chota Haridas was a great devotee, but he became an instrument in order to teach some lessons in the hands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, nice, thank you. Vinayak Pro would like to share anything? Your feeling? Okay, because yeah.
No, bro, I'm good.
Okay. So when I first time heard this pastime, I was horrified, practically. And I had the same feeling as Aditya Prabhu and or Suyash Prabhu, what they said. And in fact, now also I am horrified when I hear this pastime. It's quite horrifying actually, because it's very easy to give to chastise others. When it comes to personally, it becomes very difficult to understand these things. isn't it? So when I first time heard, actually, I was also feeling that I think I am not meant for devotional service. It's not. I am not qualified for being a devotee. Devotee is very high standard. Even on the mind, one should not have any thought of So what to speak of, and what happens to us is, at least I don't know. Some of you may be very pure, but the mind, so many thoughts keep coming. And before we had heard that in the sins offenses done in mind are forgiven, but here it is not sin. They are punished so badly. So I also felt how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is said so merciful, but he is merciful only for pure devotee, it seems. For others, he is not so merciful. That's what was my feeling also. And even now, as I said, that I feel quite horrified by hearing this pastime, one of the most tough pastime to even digest. So, but then over the period of time, the various things which I heard from our Guru Vrinda and from Srila Prabhupada's personal behavior, then things became little digestible. So that's why scripture statements cannot be taken as it is. We have to apply them based on under the guidance of Guru. So hypocrisy means the person who is with double standards. Andar kuch, bahar kuch alag. Andar kuch alag, bahar kuch alag. That is what is hypocrisy. So, uh, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he put an extreme example through Chota Haridas, as Premikas will say. It was an extreme example through Chota Haridas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put. But at the same time, he rewarded him with his original form. He rewarded him in his original form. So he sent him back to Godhead. So, so we should be. The lesson is that we should be honest and clear. We should be honest and clear. So now, Chota Haridas example, this whole pastime, Jagadananda Pandit, he wrote a book called Prema Vivarta, in which he writes about this, and he said that those who are aspiring to be devotees, they should always remember the example of Chota Haridas, and they should not dare to think of woman in their mind, he says. And after this pastime, the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became extremely alert, and they were afraid even to think of woman, even in their dream. They became afraid to think of woman. They were very, very alert. So now, once upon a time, there was one sannyasi who somehow other couldn't continue his sannyas ashram, and he fell off. And then for a sannyasi to get married is a fall down, not for a brahmachari. Brahmachari can get married, it is not a fall down. But for a sannyasi, it is surely a fall down. It is called as vatamsi. Vatamsi means one who vomits and drinks that vomit again. That is called as vatamsi. So such a sannyasi is called as like that. So one of the sannyasis of Srila Prabhupada disciple, he fell off. And then he got married and he had a child. So when Prabhupada came to that particular temple, he came to see Prabhupada and he put his child at the feet of Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada, he asked Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Chota Haridas. So will you also reject me now that I have fallen? So Prabhupada had tears in his eyes. And he said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord. He doesn't need anybody. But I am not Supreme Lord. I need you. So whatever happened, happened. Now practice very nicely. Be a very good grahastha and preach. Become a preacher, he said. Prabhupada ordered him to become a preacher. And in this way, Prabhupada accommodated him. So one of the leaders in our movement, he asked His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, that Maharaj, when I see somebody committing some mistakes like this, I feel extremely disturbed. And I feel we should reject him because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Chota Haridas. So somebody does some mistake and some gadbad. So we should surely reject him. because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Chota Haridas. That's the example. Apani Acharya Prabhu Jivet is Sikhai. You know, we have quote for everything in our understanding. So Radhanath Maharaj, he gave a very beautiful understanding. He said, we are not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Chota Haridas. Devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not reject Chota Haridas. Devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are begging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on behalf of Chota Haridas. So he said, this is the devotees' business. This is the devotees' business. That they should beg. They should say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They should not say, hey, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ने छोड़ दिया ना, अभी हम भी उसको लात मार के भगा देंगे. This is not devotees' business. We are not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are devotees. So we should feel compassion and we should beg Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should beg Krishna on the behalf of this devotee. Please accept him, please accept him, please accept him. This is our business. So you remember, at least in Yudhishthir group, one day, once I told one pastor, Gaur Govind Maharaj. One disciple of Gaur Govind Maharaj, he asked Gaur Govind Maharaj, Maharaj, is it true that you can take me back to Godhead? Gaur Govind Maharaj said, you don't have faith on me? I reject you today as my disciple. Henceforth, you are no more my disciple. And he was devastated and he was shocked. He was begging. He said, get lost. You are a faithless fellow. And then the devotees went to Gaur Govind Maharaj. They said, so Maharaj, where should we put him? Should we throw him out of the temple? Should we kick him out of ISKCON? What should we do with him? Gaur Govind Maharaj said, you fools. I rejected him because I am Guru. I have to be strict with him. But you are so foolish. You should beg to me. Please accept him. You should come to me and say, please accept him. Please, he has not done much wrong. Please accept him. Like that, you should come. And you are asking me how to throw him away. What kind of foolish people you are? So, in this way, actually, this pastime, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita properly, or if you hear the classes on that, we will understand the whole picture. So, first of all, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he wanted to teach is that a devotee should be very cautious. Sense gratification and Krishna consciousness cannot go together. They go ill together. So one should not, indulge into illicit sense gratification. Sense gratification is there within the boundaries of Krishna consciousness. It is accepted. Like somebody may take prasadam. Once one boy, he asked Radhanath Maharaj, somebody, if I just see some pornography, what is so wrong? It is like eating extra gulab jamun. Maharaj said, how can you say like this? It is not like eating extra gulab jamun. Gulab jamun is prasad. If you eat extra, okay, there is no problem. It is like eating cow meat. So it is not like eating extra gulab jamun. How can you compare this? This is totally nonsensical, thinking. So devotee should be strict. He should try his best to follow all the strict standards of Krishna consciousness. So this was the one lesson. Second lesson, as somebody was telling, whom I don't remember. I think online somebody was telling. Name Bhakta Pranashyati. That the devotee of the Lord never perishes. This was another lesson Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught. That although apparently sometimes devotee may happen to commit some mistake, and he may appear to get punished also, but if you see the spectrum in a long term, then we see that he will never perish. He will always get the rewards for his devotion. This is also the lesson of Chota Haridas. Sometimes only first lesson is quoted, right? But this is also the lesson that devotee of the Lord never perishes. Apichet suduracharo bhajate ma mananya bhag sadhu reva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. So those who are neophyte devotees, they see present disconnected from past and future. Whereas those who are great devotees, they can see the past and future, both the things. They see the connection. So if you just take the spectrum of the life of Chota Haridas, then all these questions come. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can be so cruel? He's Patit Pavan, how can he be so cruel? How can he, how can he do like this? how can, Chota Haridas, he seems to be totally lost. But if you see the complete spectrum of Chota Haridas Thakur, Chota Haridas Prabhu's life, Swami, he was a sannyasi actually. Chota Haridas' life, you see that he went back home, back to Godhead. So apparently Chaitanya Mahaprabhu punished him and rejected him when he was alive here, but he sent him back to Godhead. Means ultimately he accepted him. Isn't it? He did not reject him in a eternal sense. In eternal sense, he accepted him. Another lesson from this is said that the power of the holy places. Somebody who leaves the body at holy places, the great influence of that, or the great potency of that, is that a person attains a spiritual body when one leaves the body at holy place. So these are the lessons. So certainly one should be honest and clear. A Vaishnava means one who has inner substance. We must practice what we preach. We cannot just justify. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew, Bhakti Thakur says this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that there is going to be one sect called Sahajiyas, who take devotional service to be very cheaply. What they do, they say we are great devotees of Krishna and they cry tears, but they have all types of illicit relationships and they engage into all kind of illicit activities. So so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew, and that's why he wanted to warn the whole world that one should not become a Sahajiya like this. One should become an honest devotee. One should be very honest in his practice of Krishna consciousness. So one should not take devotional service to be a very cheap thing that anybody can practice. Anybody can do anything and still can say I am a devotee. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "Mathe tilak, galay mala, ए तो आछे कलीर चेला." माथे पे तिलक पहन रहे, गले में कंठी माला पहने, पर है कौन अंदर से? कली का चेला है. Means what? He simply engaged into. He is justifying sometimes. That's what is the seventh offense. To justify one's sinful activities in the name of holy names. That's the seventh offense towards the holy names. So one cannot become like this. One should not think that devotional service, jo karna hai karo, or just Hare Krishna karo and that's all right. No, Prabhupada has given us 4 regulative principles and we should strictly try to follow that. At the same time, this is true, so we should be alarmed and we should become cautious. But at the same time, we cannot turn this pastime into our management policy. You understand? We cannot turn this pastime into our management policy. Hey, किसी के मन में thought आया, उसको निकाल दो voice से. I should be kicked out of voice. This cannot become a management policy. कि चलो, hey, thought आया क्या कुछ, वो मत कर, get lost. I think nobody will remain in voice except for Vrindavan Chandra one day. They'll only themselves be dancing in Mangal Aarti. There won't be anybody to do Mangal Aarti. Maybe some of you may be there. I don't know. I should not underestimate all of you. At least I won't be there for sure. So one should not take it into a management policy. That's why, as I said, that we can derive any lessons from anything what we do, but we have to see that what our acharyas have said and what they have done. So we see Srila Prabhupada, he did not say, hey, because you fell down, get lost from ISKCON now. There was only one occasion Srila Prabhupada removed somebody from ISKCON. What was that occasion? When they were propagating Mayavad, saying that Prabhupada is only God. That time was the time. But he said you start opening new centers, but you cannot stay in any temple. And of course, these are the good devotees still. They are there in the movement again. It's not that they are permanently banished by Prabhu. It was like a 1-year punishment, maybe. But after that, again, they became one of the top leaders there. I know who are they. I don't want to tell the names, but I know that clearly the names also. Who are those people? And you will be shocked to know who are these people actually. That these were the people. So Prabhupada never, threw anybody out like this, out of this thing, society. So certainly there has to be certain times some strict actions to be taken on certain people, but we have to know the extent of offense and extent of whatever the person is, like, spoiling the reputation. Suppose some devotee, is indulgent to illicit sex with a girl, it's very difficult to accept him in the voice, especially after coming into voice. He indulges, directly into physical contact with a girl, because then people will think, "Arey, idhar sab kuch chalta hai voice." Hmm. So these people externally Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, but dam maro dam. And that's what happens. So that's why he cannot be put into voice. But that doesn't mean he cannot be accepted in devotional service at all. That is also not proper. Hmm. So so there has to be different, arrangement for such people who could not follow certain things. Even to the worst extent they go, still there should be some arrangement for them. But at the same time, in the voice we may not be able to accommodate certain level people, but at the same time we have to accommodate them outside voice, in the devotional service. So but the of only when the sin is very grievous, then it can be done. We cannot say somebody get a thought he should be kicked out of voice. That is not, that's not the. So don't turn it into management policy. We have to see what our acharyas have done, what our guru vrunda is doing, what they are saying, and we have to ask them, not come to our own conclusions based on that. Third thing is also that in regards to ourselves, we have to have a balanced approach. Balanced approach in the sense, one should, when we hear this pastime, one should become really alarmed and cautious, and not become a hypocritical. But at the same time, we see that we should not become hopeless also. Because we see that there is a kind of hypocrisy within us. There is a kind of duplicity within us that is there. But at the same, so we have to work hard to overcome it. We have to try hard to overcome it. But sometimes people's conclusion, like my conclusion was, what was that? I think I am not meant for devotional service. I should not practice bhakti only. But it is what? It is like, running away from the solution itself. So bhumau kalita padanam bhumi reva. He says that somebody falls on the ground, one should take help of that ground only to stand. Similarly, even if one falls in devotional service, the only solution is devotional service. So it is not that one has to give up devotional service. So that's where Krishna says that apichet suduracharo bhajate mam sadhu reva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. That a person, even though he may be devotee, but he commits the most abominable activity, still if he situates himself again in the devotional service, what happens? Krishna considers him to be saintly. Considers him to be saintly. So we can take hope from this statement of Krishna and not become hopeless about it. So we should try our best to overcome these tendencies of hypocrisy within us and advance ourselves into devotional service. But at the same time, we should not become hopeless. Even though we may, by mistake, commit some very bad activities, still one should still again take the shelter of devotional service and continue the bhakti, because surely one day or other the bhakti will purify the person. He will purify us. That will happen. So in this regards, I don't know, I showed to some of you. So, but there is one nice statement by Her Grace Vishakha Mataji. I don't remember whether I read it over here or not. Anyways, it will take time to find it out. So, but the whole point, Vishakha Mataji says that one day or other, I feel that, yeah, I shared it, no? So sometimes the thought may come, अरे छोटा हरिदास बेचारा सब कुछ छोड़ दिया भक्ति के लिए और भक्ति में भी फेल हो गया किधर जाएगा अभी as Bhimrajpur is feeling sympathy where he will go now, but he went back to Godhead actually. It's thought that he has no place. So I'll read again. As for me, after the high of Vrindavan, I ached from the formidable black fissure between the person I was and the person I wished I could be. You experience this tug of war? Person whom I am and person whom I wish to be. It is a tug of war. I want to be like this, but I am unfortunately like this. There is a constant, Imagine if I could become aware of the divine presence behind everything and of his goodness. Rooted in that awareness, I could become kind, giving, joyful. But in truth, I was absorbed by the pettiness in my life, disturbed by irritations and envies and miserliness. I long for comfort and cosseting, prosperity and prestige. How to deal with the chasm between my ideals and my reality? Beating myself up about it didn't seem productive. You understand this? Beating myself up. Hey, you are rascal only. We tell ourselves also. You are like Chota Haridas. You should be rejected. You are useless. That is not so productive, she says. Neither did ignoring it. It's okay, Chota Haridas, both high. This is too high. I think I can do anything, and everything is all right. We are not though that great, So सब कुछ चलेगा. See, she has balance. She's giving both the possibilities. Either we may overly punish ourselves, or we may think that okay, everything सब कुछ चलेगा, everything is all right. Pretending I was something I wasn't left me feeling dismal and others feeling distrustful. Then I gradually learned that I had to grow up enough to accept and forgive myself without letting myself become defeated and complacent. I had to grow up enough to accept and forgive myself. First of all, accept that these are my limitations. These are my conditions. Accept that this is what I am. Then forgive yourself. It is important to forgive ourselves also. Don't become defeated. Defeated means abhi bhakti nahi ho sakta. Bhakti is too much. I think I can't practice. So we should not become defeated in bhakti. Just like sometimes bhakti is a war against Maya. Sometimes in the war we will win, sometimes we'll lose. But the true soldier, he doesn't become defeated. Although he gets defeated externally, internally he doesn't get defeated. Even people like Jarasandha, he was thoroughly defeated. But he again came with a full army, right? So much spirit. After the whole thing happened, still he came to help Shishupal also. Later on, isn't it, in Rukmini Swayamvar? So that type of warrior spirit we should have. Don't get defeated in devotional service. And complacent. Complacent means मेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता. मेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता. मैं ऐसे ही रहूंगा शायद. So ठीक है, करते रहो. Whatever wrong I am doing, let me keep on doing. I think that's the way I can be. I cannot become better. Complacent. I had to go on trying without becoming de-spirited. De-spirited means again same thing. Demotivated. Shayad bhakti is not possible. I think it was for Kali Yuga, which has passed away. Now I am in Ghor Kali Yuga, the product of Ghor Kali Yuga. Trusting that sooner or later the process of spiritual life would have a positive effect. trust that sooner or later the process of spiritual life would have a positive effect. I foresaw a long and slow journey. Become patient. धैर्य रखो. You cannot become pure devotee within one day. That's not possible. It's a slow and long journey. And then also, I wasn't what I ought to be, but at least I wasn't what I used to be. This is the crux of the whole statement, whole paragraph. I wasn't what I should be. I should be so pure. I should be so nice. I should be like one of the associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But that is, I'm not, unfortunately, very painfully, I am not that. But at the same time, I am not what I used to be. I was much more bad before. I was much more nonsense before. I have become much better than that. Every one of us can confidently say it, right? That I have become much better than what I was before. That means from that progress, we can get a confidence that if I continue to practice bhakti, one day I can become pure. It's not impossible. It's not impossible because till now इतना किया है कि नहीं, इतना हुआ है और आगे हो जाएगा. Isn't it? One day or other it will happen. So that's a balanced approach we should have when we hear this classes. Sometimes this applies to not only this Chota Haridas pastime. In general, these classes we hear. So there are two approaches sometimes, two extremes. One extreme is that a devotee thinks, this is too much fanatism, and sometimes they get demotivated. क्या है इतना सब कुछ थोड़ी कर सकते हैं, so much, why should it be done? This speaker is too fanatic, this speaker is bogus. He is like, he thinks himself to be very great. There is one approach like that. Another approach is, or you can take it in simple terms, he is very impractical. He speaks all impractical things. And another approach can be, another extreme approach is that, I think I should be simply depressed. And there is no hope for me. I am only so bad. So both of these wrong approaches can lead to we can say even getting disconnected with devotional service. So right type of approach is what? Okay, I am not so advanced, but I wish to advance. That's why a devotee should, first of all, we have to understand in the class what we hear should become our aspiration, should become our goal, should become our desire, our ideal. It should become that. It should become our ideal. It should become aspiration. It should become our goal. Kabe habe bolo se dinama aparadha gochi shuddha name dochi rupa bole habe hridaye sanchar. So it should become our prayer. Oh Lord, when it will become that I will not have any single thought of woman. I am so bad. Chota Haridas was so good actually. He just had a thought. I am much, million times worse than Chota Haridas. So it should lead to become a prayerful, more taking shelter of Krishna, more taking shelter of devotees, and process of devotional service, and not think that it is impractical. And so classes always higher standards have to be spoken. But when it comes to our personal application in the life, sometimes one thinks, this is impractical. I'm getting hopeless by hearing this class. It's not like that. Classes always high standards have to be spoken. If there are no high standards spoken in the classes, what will happen is that the whole movement will get diluted. So we see our acharyas always have done this. Prabhupada spoke so strongly on the Vyasasana. Our gurus, we see they speak so strongly on Vyasasana. So, but then how to not become hopeless or demotivated by hearing that? We have to understand that when it comes to personal application, we have to apply with the guidance of our somebody who is our counselor or somebody. Like for example, in the classes we hear these all various types of anarthas and all that we hear. इतना expectations है, इतना सारा expectations है. How can I fulfill so many expectations? Arey, I'm trying my best, but why so many expectations? So first thing is that we should make it our goal, prayer, aspiration, and ideal. One should not become averse to the principle itself, because if we become averse to principle itself, then we will never be able to go there. For example, if it is told that one should be perfectly clean, and if you have the habit of uncleanness, then if one says, hey, this is all fanatic. Why so much cleanliness standards in voice? Why so many cleanliness things I should follow? No, this is all, I can't follow all these things. It is not possible. So one should not become averse to the principle itself. We should understand it's a fact. One has to become clean. One should become clean. But right now I may be struggling with it. So one can take a personal guidance. Prabhu, how can I apply it? It is told that these are the standards of cleanliness. I am not able to follow it. What should I do? And there will be certain personal adjustments will be done. Okay, you do this much, do that much, like that. Like a first year boy is there. We tell him, we all get up at 4:20. We all come here, not get up. Come here at 4:20 for morning program. So now first year boy, he can say, it's impractical. So henceforth, I don't practice any bhakti. It's not possible. So that's a wrong approach. So in the class, he will hear 4:20 one should come for morning. It's a wrong approach. But then what he should do, he should go to his mentor and say, see this Prabhu in the class, he told that, one should come at 4:20. My God, I sleep at 4:20. How can I come at 4:20? Maybe I'll complete morning program, then sleep. That's what I think. But that also is so difficult. So what should I do? They say, yes, 4:20 is our goal. You start at least sleeping at maybe 12 o'clock and come at 6 o'clock at least. You start coming at 6 o'clock. Then slowly you can improve. So in this way, if one becomes resentful to the principle itself, then certainly one will take lot of long path, really much more longer paths, in order to come to the goal of life, that is pure devotional service to Krishna. So without getting frustrated, we should try to make that as an aspiration, prayer, ideal, and then we also should have a understanding that what is my level, and according to our level, we should try to improve ourselves. We should try to make little improvement in ourselves. And no matter, even if we fail, again try. As she said, that don't get dispirited. Again try little. One has to understand that the most hope giving thing in bhakti is that bhakti is eternal process. तो जितना आपने किया है वो कभी लॉस नहीं होगा, उसके ऊपर ही आप हमेशा जाएंगे. So suppose for example somebody he practiced very strictly some devotional service, and he came to the standard of, from 5% he uplifted himself to 25%. So 25% remains his eternal credit. Whenever he does whatever he does next is 26% only. It will never come below 24, 23, 22. ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा. So that's the most hope giving thing in bhakti, isn't it? So we should continue. We should continue with whatever, we all have our individual struggles, and we should continue and see how can I improve. So on one side, we should not justify our conditionings. We should lament for our conditionings. On the other hand, we should not become hopeless because of those conditions. You should understand that ultimately devotee will be always protected by the Lord. He will always get ultimate benefit. So this is the balanced approach. Don't become dispirited, hopeless, and at the same time don't justify saying that सब कुछ चलता है, सब कुछ ठीक है. So we should lament for it. Oh, alas, like that. How I am in this fallen situation. So both ways, these two things together, when they are done, then we'll be able to nicely progress actually in devotional service. So this is whatever understanding I have of this pastime is this is what I have learnt. It may be not perfect. I cannot claim that this is the perfect understanding, but from observing the behavior of various our acharyas and the principles what from the lectures, this is what I can understand. Just imagine if we quote this Chota Haridas pastime in the Western world. If you even think of even, you all get lost. From here. You all go away from here. We have nothing to want. We don't want to do anything with you because you are too much. So that's why there has to be. We should aspire for the highest standards, but at the same time, one should be also realistic, and one should try to improve. Improvement will not happen within one day. Gradual, regular improvement will eventually bring us to the perfection. So enemy of Vaishnavism are these two tendencies. One is Smartha Brahman tendency and another is Sahajiya tendency. What is Smartha Brahman tendency? Okay, criticizing others for being proud.
What we are just do
Ritualistically doing. Yeah, these are all correct answers. One of the typical Smartha Brahmana tendency is what? This is it. And nothing here and there. No plus minus. This is the thing. And if you cannot, then get lost. Or I get lost if I cannot. If I cannot, I get lost. So Smartha Brahmana tendency is 0 or 1. Either pure devotee or non-devotee. This is Smartha Brahman tendency. एक तो शुद्ध भक्त बनूंगा, नहीं तो non-devotee रहूंगा. Like sometimes some Gaurang Seva people say, either brahmachari or non-devotee. I think they need to visit some psychiatrist. Of course, there are certain, we don't want to trivialize their struggles, but at the same time, that's the point. That one need not have this wrong conception. So that's a smartha tendency. And sahaja tendency means, सब चलता है. We should be practical. Practicals means eating anywhere, engaging into any activity, and still Hare Krishna Hare Ram, दम मारो दम करते रहो और Hare Krishna Hare Ram बोलते रहो. सब चलेगा. Justifying all the wrong things one is doing in the name of being practical, in the name of being, so this is another. So this, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says that this is the enemy of Vaishnava principles, Smartha Brahman tendency and Sahajiya tendency. So what is the common between both Smartha and Sahajiya tendencies? Common is shallowness. One of the typical Smartha pastime is this associates of Varuna Dev. They arrested Nanda Maharaj for bathing too early. Orthodoxy. Hey, just because he is taking bath early, so early, he should be. अरे कौन व्यक्ति है? इसको देखो पहले. And they don't understand. अरे इस नंदा महाराज जो आपके मास्टर है, जिन्हें आपको ऑर्डर दिया है, उनके मास्टर के बाप है वो. उसको पकड़ते हैं क्या? कुछ भी. सुबह सुबह नहाया, जल्दी टाइम से पहले नहाया, चलो. Smartha tendency, orthodox. Right? And we know Sahajiya examples, so there is no dearth of that. So the shallowness. So shallowness means basically there is no true substance in both of these tendencies. Smartha tendency means following the letter of the law without understanding the spirit of the law. That is smarta tendency. And Sahajya tendency means neither spirit nor letter. None of these are being followed. That is Sahajya tendency. So there is no true substance. So that's why one should not become shallow in our devotional service. We have to go deeper in our devotional service. We should understand the principles of forgiveness, at the same time strictness, principles of patience, at the same time seriousness. These seem to be opposite principles, but they have to be, brought together in order to make a proper balance in our life. So that's what we have to do. So in order to put our heart in something, we have to meditate, as somebody was saying, that why we are doing it. Why do I do what I am doing? What's the purpose? And we should strive to adopt those good qualities which make us the real Vaishnava. We should be striving for it. We should be aspiring for it, and we should be begging for it. So once one devotee asked this question to his Grace Karshandas Adhikari Prabhu, that how to become pure devotee. What answer he gave? He said, we should every day beg to Krishna, I want to be pure devotee. Oh Krishna, please be merciful to me and let me become your pure devotee. Please let me overcome all these anarthas in my heart. So this way we should beg for these good qualities actually in our heart, so that we become a real Vaishnava, and not a superficial Vaishnava. So that's a proper balance approach will help us to overcome the anarthas in our heart, and one day we will be there. Where? In the Golok Vrindavan, in along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very merciful actually. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Patita Pavan avatar. He is not Kapata Pavan, that is true. At the same time, he is very merciful also. So